When a waitress used sign language to serve a deaf grandmother at a luxury hotel, the millionaire sitting beside her froze. What she revealed next changed everything, and brought tears to everyone's eyes. Before we begin this emotional story, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more heart-touching stories that restore faith in humanity. The morning sun streamed through the towering windows of the Grand Royale Hotel, spilling golden light across the marble floors. The chandeliers sparkled above like frozen raindrops. Guests in fine suits and elegant dresses murmured quietly over their breakfast as the sound of silverware clinked softly in the background. Among the servers moving swiftly between tables was Maya, a young waitress in a crisp red uniform. Her hair was neatly braided, her smile calm and kind. Though her job was demanding, Maya always served with warmth that made even the coldest mornings feel bright. But today, something felt different. At table 12, the table by the window with the perfect view of the city, sat an older woman dressed in a deep green suit and pearl necklace. Her posture was graceful, her expression poised. Across from her was a younger man in a navy blue suit, confident, clearly successful, but with a hint of impatience in his eyes. Maya approached with her usual cheerful tone. "Good morning, welcome to the Grand Royale. My name is Maya, and I'll be..." Before she could finish, the young man raised a hand politely. "My grandmother is deaf," he said quickly. "You'll have to just write things down, I guess." Maya looked at the grandmother, who was gazing out the window, unaware of their words. Something in her face, gentle yet lonely, tugged at Maya's heart. Instead of writing, Maya smiled softly, placed a hand over her heart, and began moving her hands gracefully in sign language. The old woman blinked, then her face lit up. "Good morning," Maya signed. "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" The woman's eyes widened in pure surprise. Her lips parted, then curved into a trembling smile. She immediately began signing back, her movements elegant but hesitant. "You know sign language?" she asked. Maya nodded. "Yes, my mother was deaf. She taught me everything before she passed away." Across the table, the grandson looked up from his phone, stunned. He watched as his grandmother, who rarely smiled since his grandfather's death, now laughed quietly, her eyes bright like a child's. For the first time in years, she wasn't silent. Maya gently took their orders through sign language, every gesture fluid and respectful. She didn't just serve the table, she connected with it. Throughout the meal, the grandmother's face glowed with happiness. She signed stories about her youth, her travels, her love for music she could no longer hear but still felt inside her. Maya listened with her whole heart, nodding, laughing softly, her eyes reflecting pure empathy. When Maya stepped away to the kitchen, the young man leaned closer to his grandmother. "Grandma, I didn't know you could smile like that again." His grandmother placed a hand on his and signed. "That young woman, she reminded me of your grandfather's favorite saying, 'Kindness speaks louder than sound.'" The young man stared at Maya as she served another table. There was something in her, a quiet dignity, a peace that came from deep pain and understanding. He couldn't stop thinking, who was she, really? Later that day, during her short break, Maya stood near the staff window, sipping water. Outside, children were laughing, running around the fountain. She smiled faintly, remembering when she used to do the same, holding her mother's hand. Her mother, Lena, had lost her hearing after a severe illness when Maya was only 5. The world around them hadn't been kind. People avoided them, mocked them, treated them as invisible. But Maya learned quickly that silence could be full of love. She spent her childhood learning sign language to talk to her mother. When her mother passed away, Maya promised herself she would never let anyone who lived in silence feel alone again. That promise had led her here, to this moment, the return of the grandmother. The next morning, when Maya arrived at work, her manager called her aside. "Maya, table 12 requested you personally," he said, half smiling. "They said no one else is to serve them." Maya walked toward the table, slightly surprised. The grandmother greeted her with bright eyes. "Good morning, dear," she signed warmly. Her grandson, whose name was Daniel, nodded politely. "Good to see you again," he said aloud. "Grandma insisted we come back." Maya smiled. "It's my pleasure." As she served their breakfast, Daniel couldn't help but watch how easily she communicated, how she seemed to listen beyond words. His grandmother had lived in silence for years, and now, through Maya, she had a voice again. After their meal, Daniel asked Maya to stay for a moment. "You've made a huge impression on my grandmother," he said. "She hasn't been this happy in years." Maya nodded humbly. "She reminds me of my mom," she said softly. It's an honor to talk with her. Daniel hesitated, then smiled. We're organizing a charity gala next week for hearing-impaired children. Would you like to help us host it? My grandmother said you'd be perfect. Maya's eyes widened. Me? Yes, Daniel said. You'd bring authenticity and heart. Her throat tightened with emotion. I'd be honored. The ballroom glittered with lights and music. Guests in elegant clothes filled the room, laughter echoing through the grand hall. But at the front stood Maya, dressed in a graceful gown, her poise calm but radiant. Beside her stood the grandmother and Daniel. As Daniel began to speak, Maya stood silently beside him, interpreting every word into sign language. For the first time in the gala's history, both the hearing and the hearing-impaired audience felt equally included. When Maya took the stage to speak, she told her story. My mother couldn't hear my voice, but she heard my heart. She taught me that silence isn't empty, it's full of emotions waiting to be understood. Today, I dedicate this to her, and to everyone who listens with love, not just ears. Tears filled the audience's eyes. The grandmother wept quietly, her hand trembling in Daniel's. By the end of the night, the charity raised 3 times its goal. But something even greater happened. Maya was offered a position at Daniel's foundation to lead communication programs for the deaf community. After the event, the grandmother called Maya to her side. There's something I must tell you, she signed. Many years ago, I had a daughter who passed away during childbirth. We never knew her baby survived, until today. Maya blinked, confused. What do you mean? The grandmother reached into her purse and pulled out an old silver locket. Inside was a picture of a baby, and beside her, a woman who looked exactly like Maya. Tears streamed down Maya's face. That's my mother. The grandmother's hands shook. Then you're my granddaughter. Daniel froze, staring at both of them. Wait, what? The moment felt like time stopped. The grandmother took Maya's hand, her eyes trembling with emotion. I've searched for years, and today, kindness brought you back to me. From that day on, Maya's life changed forever. She was no longer the quiet waitress who served tables. She was part of a family she never knew she had. Daniel welcomed her with open arms, and the grandmother, once surrounded by silence, now filled her home with laughter and love. Together, they launched a foundation to train young people in sign language and create job opportunities for the deaf community. Maya continued to serve others, but now her heart carried a new purpose, to remind the world that the loudest voices often come from the quietest hearts. When you meet people in silence, listen with your heart. You never know what story hides behind their eyes, or how one act of kindness can change